So, in our first module, we explored the different types of stress. Now that we have built that foundation, let's dive into the next question. Where does stress actually start? Stress doesn't just happen randomly, it has a starting point, or what we call as a trigger. These triggers are like the spark that sets the whole stress cycle in motion. If we can identify these sparks, sometimes we can start understanding why stress happens and take the first step towards managing it better. So, what exactly are triggers? Triggers basically come in two main categories. One is external triggers, and the second one is internal triggers. Let's explore each of these with some relatable examples to help you reflect on your own experiences. External triggers are situations, events, or actions in your environment that create stress. These often feel out of your control and can come from anywhere: work, family, society, or even unexpected circumstances. Some umbrella examples for us to better understand what external triggers can look like. The first one being the umbrella of pressure. Your boss assigns you a project with an unrealistic deadline. Second is conflicts. You're caught between two family members arguing and they expect you to pick a side. Third is life changes. You're moving to a new city, planning a wedding, or starting a new job. All exciting, but quite overwhelming. Fourth, frustrations. You're stuck in a traffic and the clock is ticking on an important appointment. External triggers often demand immediate attention, which is why they feel so overwhelming. And here's a very, very small thing though: they don't cause the stress on their own. Stress happens because of how we respond to these situations inside of ourselves. That brings us to internal triggers. Internal triggers are how you think about and react to what's happening around you. These come from your thoughts, emotions, and expectations. Let's look at some examples to understand what internal triggers can look like. Negative self talk. You can think, I can't handle this, I'm going to fail. These are negative self talks, which are sometimes not that helpful. Unrealistic expectations. This can be from your own self, from someone else, or from the situation. You tell yourself, I should be perfect, or my team can't make any mistakes, or the event has to be perfect. Unrealistic expectations. The next one being worry about the future. How often do you find yourself spinning about what if that happened? What if this happens? And sometimes these scenarios are not even realistic. These are internal triggers. The last one of an internal trigger is an past experience. Something happening right now reminds you of a difficult moment in the past, amplifying your current stress. Even if an external trigger is small, like spilling coffee on your shirt, your internal response can make it feel much bigger. Something like, why am I so clumsy always? That's the tricky part about stress. It's not just about what's happening to you, but also how you experience it inside of you. Now, here's where it gets interesting. External and internal triggers often team up, creating a stress cycle that feeds itself. Let's look at a few examples to see how this works in real life. Okay, let's take a quick example. An external trigger over there can be your manager assigns a last minute project due tomorrow. The internal trigger here could look like you think, I'm not smart enough to finish this on time. Everyone will see me fail. The result? The stress from the deadline grows because your internal thoughts make it feel even harder to manage. Let's take social stress, for example. You're invited to a big event where you don't know anyone. External trigger. You think, I'll say something awkward and everyone will judge me. Internal trigger. What's the result? You start feeling anxious even before the event, as your internal worries amplify the external pressure. Let's take a last example. Maybe a everyday stress. You spill tea on your laptop just as you're about to join an online meeting. External trigger. You think, I'm so clumsy. Why can't I get my life together? Internal trigger. Result, what could have been a minor inconvenience turns into a full blown stress response because how you interpret it. Now let's understand why understanding triggers matters. When we think about stress, it's natural to focus on external triggers, the tight deadlines, arguments, the unexpected challenges. These external stressors can be genuinely painful, overwhelming, and even feel unending at times. And that's okay. It's important to acknowledge how difficult they are. If you're feeling frustrated, stuck, or exhausted by them, know that it's valid to stay with those feelings and recognize their weight. But there's also something more for you to consider. While external triggers are undeniably hard, they don't define you. For example, a boss setting unrealistic expectations doesn't mean you are inefficient and lazy, even if you feel that way in the moment. Stress from external triggers often gets amplified by our inner dialogue, right? Thoughts or beliefs we have learned over time, like I'm not good enough or I should be able to handle this perfectly. And here's something more for you to consider. Just because you think or feel something doesn't make it true. By understanding how real external stressors interact with your internal world, you can begin to notice patterns, challenges, unhelpful beliefs, and find a way to respond that feels more supportive and manageable for you.